We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Miami Dolphins defense versus the Titans offense, and I thought overall the defense kind of continued to be like the only positive for the team. Came out, played a very good game. I know, they technically gave up 31 points, but 24 of those 31 points came off of drives where the Titans needed to get 27 or less yards of offense to get those points. That's like, just really, really bad work from the offense. I think if the offense can improve, the defense should improve greatly, because really, if you think about it, the defense is really built to play with a lead, because when they can pin their ear back and get after the quarterback, they know it's going to be a passing play, they're really good. And I think our third down conversion rate really shows that, because the Dolphins have the #1 third down defense right now, conversion rate wise. Teams are converting at 23% or something like that, and that's #1. So I think that just shows how good the Dolphins are in obvious passing situations to get after the quarterback, especially with the guys that they have up front. So if they were able to build a lead where it's every down ends up being a third down situation, it's going to be a pass, I feel like the Dolphins defense would get even better. And it's still a new unit that I think it wasn't perfect throughout the game. They kind of started to struggle versus the run as the game went on, which is fine. There's still some players I think that are having some problems, but overall some good moments from everyone. I think they still have good play from most of the players. Jalen Phillips got injured, which is a huge loss. That absolutely sucks. But I think overall, I really like what I've seen from the Dolphins defense. They gave up, this long run here, which was kind of I think, that first dagger for them. But when you're on the field and your offense is getting constant 3 and outs, it's hard to continue to play. And you can tell that they're going out there and at least fighting and playing hard. And I got to give them respect for that. I think I would personally, I think you'll see it throughout maybe a couple plays in this video, but I think Marcus May should be the starter at safety over Jordan Poyer. That's just my opinion. It seems like Jordan Poyer has really lost a step. I think Poyer can only really play in the box at this point. I would rather even see Elijah Campbell if we're gonna have a safety play deep in the backfield. But Dolphins came out and actually stopped the run well early, especially those first few drives. They weren't allowing any gains at all. Here they try to get the toss play going. Really good job by the outside of the defense here, really setting the edge. Ogba, Cater, Ramsey, they all have these outside leverage. Anthony Walker, just good job. Sealer, all these people are trying to force this cutback. They're winning this number of battles, and it just creates this huge lane for Jordan Brooks. And look at him just close here, man. I feel Jordan Brooks had a really good game. I feel like Brooks has been one of the better signings. He's had some inconsistencies at time, but really makes up for it with his big splash plays. Look at that explosiveness, his range. So I'm a fan of what Jordan Brooks has brought, especially when you consider he's playing in a new defense, in a new system, on a new team. Sometimes it can take a little bit to adjust. So definitely shout out to Brooks for those types of plays. Wanted to show this because this was their first big play of the game, and I feel like the Dolphins just kind of struggle in these situations. This is even they run play action, and this is where the Dolphins defensive front gets slowed down. And then out of play action, the Dolphins run zone, and they just give up so much space in zone. It's a very tough ask. Looks like they're playing quarters, basically. And it's this is a 2nd and long. This is 2nd and 17, 2nd and 16. So it's pretty obvious they're probably not going to run the ball here. And then they motion this across, get this corner to widen with this route. So I believe that Storm Duck on that one makes sense. And then Hopkins just sort of sits over the middle. And it looks like Jordan Poyer has so much depth gain. It looks like they might be playing half to this side of the field, more of a 2-read thing. So he could be playing potentially cover 2, but they're definitely playing quarters to this side. You can tell by how Holland's playing it. He's trying to take this receiver away if he breaks the inside, but he doesn't. He just sits on it. Brooks gets taken down to the flat, and it just creates this huge window. I feel like a lot of the Dolphins' biggest plays versus the pass have come on play action, and then when they're running zone. When they play man, they're at least in a decent position. I feel like the Dolphins do a better job when they're able to play more of an aggressive style defense, and it's playing some press, playing man. I do like how they mix things up, which is keeps defenses on their toes, but they really do struggle with those types of plays. But they are able to make up for it very quickly with the interception. I loved how they used Ramsey in this game. They allowed Ramsey and Holland to get involved at the line of scrimmage. Look how Ramsey's involved here. He's the nickel on this play. He's lined up as an edge. Holland did this a couple times to help versus the running game. Here they do this and they bring Ramsey on a blitz. They go quick passing game. And then they drop Ogba into coverage to this side. And Will Levis, you could even read his lips on after the play, like he's saying he didn't even see him, not expecting Agba to drop into coverage, and he's just in the throwing lane and boom, gets the interception. And honestly, if Will Levis played, I imagine there might have been a few more explosive throws and plays because once Rudolph came in the game, they just ran the ball, but probably could have had some more turnovers because that was a huge play. The defense really was doing their best out there, but really like how they used their DBs in this game, especially in the box, stop the run. Like here's an example. Ramsey just made so many plays versus the run. Another play where he's at the line of scrimmage. He's technically, the outside corner here, just based on the look that they're in. But he gets to come down, be in the line of scrimmage, gets a free lane. They actually had a bunch of free lanes. I think Sealer gets left unblocked, and Sealer's just guessing that it's going to be play action here. I actually don't mind him guessing this just because a couple people are unblocked. So like Ramsey's still able to make that tackle at the line of scrimmage. But man, they really wanted to get that sack. But Ramsey, amazing game. One of the best players in this game. I thought Ramsey, Jordan Brooks played well. I thought Holland had a pretty good game. I'm going to make a video on Storm Duck tomorrow because he got to play the full game, and I actually thought he showed some nice promise. Wasn't perfect, but for UDFA, I thought it was a pretty nice opening. This was Ogba's best game of the season. Campbell had a pretty good game. It wasn't Sealer's best game, but I don't blame him too much for, being put in some tough positions, things like that. But I do think there should be some moves made in the secondary, potentially May over Poyer, and then maybe when Cam Smith returns, we can see Cam Smith work in certain packages, maybe over Kohu, depending on, maybe they want to put Ramsey in the nickel and they have Cam Smith playing the outside. I think I would like to see those looks. But I think when the Dolphins do get up third down conversions, it's them just being too soft in zone. Like, I think in this scenario, they just gain too much depth here, not sitting at the sticks. Like, they actually get a pretty quick pressure up front. If you look at this, they work a stunt. Campbell's able to find his way there. Like, Sealer crashes down, creates this space all for Calais. Rudolph's under pressure, but they just give up, like, easy conversions. Like, if you can see, like, I think Brooks just gains a little too much depth. I understand, like, you kind of want to sit at the sticks initially, but and he wants to, potentially take away a throw from Hopkins. But once you gain this depth, you should close it down a little bit. Like, I think he should be on, like, what Walker is here, and then Duck's in a position to squeeze this. Like, he's already has his momentum coming downhill. Ramsey's still kind of floating backwards. That's the problem. They just didn't squeeze this well enough, and I feel like sometimes they can just play a little too soft in coverage and give up those types of plays. They obviously responded and made up for it with their good looks. Calais makes a really nice play. They have Holland this time in the Ramsey kind of spot where he gets to come in unblocked. He gets to help be involved. Walker gets downhill, but just look how Calais, oh my god. Calais got, I love how they get Calais lined up here. Like, Dolphins came out in these types of looks where they played with, like, a bigger front, and you can see, like, they have 4 down defensive linemen. They still have their typical edge. So they came out with some bigger looks, one less DB on the field. They had Calais plays a big edge, which gets him lined up on a tight end, and that allows them to absolutely bully in the running game. And I feel like that's what helped them a lot. Stop runs on early downs was their looks there. Then they get a third down, and Storm Duck probably made his best play of the game. Just good instincts, understanding. Like, look how the Titans are aligned pre-snap. This guy was lined up out wide, and he motions inside. This is 3rd and 6. Duck understands, like, hey, when they're in this alignment, like, it could very well just be a quick screen. They have a backup quarterback in, start to cheat on this, and then once he sees, like, this running back do that, and the body language of the quarterback turn to that side, Duck starts to break downhill, beats the block, and makes that tackle. Just really, really good work on his behalf. Like, he knows Kohu's still, like, in this position over the top, so if, like, they were to throw something over here, Kohu could potentially make up for it for him, so Duck just replaces and makes a really nice play in the backfield. I feel like he's done a good job tackling, getting involved when he has to, that type of thing. Almost a big play on this side of the field. Dolphins had some chances at turnovers. This one was just slightly out of reach for Kohu. He actually does a good job. This is one of Kohu's better reps. Dolphins play cover 2. They're showing, some different looks here pre-snap, potentially showing pressure. Kohu then drops out. They definitely bail into a too high shell. Duck gets hands on. Great work from Storm Duck here. Great work from Duck. And then Ramsey, even though Ramsey gives up the outside release, he clearly is able to find number 2 with his eyes. He also is still disrupting route timing. So just good work from all the corners, getting hands on, disrupting. Kohu squeezes a 83 long enough so he can help take this away as a hook defender, like a hook curl, and then come off of it, read the eyes of the quarterback, and then get in the throwing lane, and then almost get hands-on, that would have been a huge turnover if it was just a little more thrown inside. But just a lot of plays to like. Another example of getting their DBs aligned near the line of scrimmage. This time Holland able to beat the block of this receiver, cross his face, get in the backfield, make these tackles either for loss or at the line of scrimmage, maybe for a yard. There's really, really good work. I think with their looks that they were able to give on first down to stop the run. And they did this pretty well, I think, in the first half. But once you're on the field so much, like it does get a little difficult to continuously stop the run over and over again. And then the Dolphins just did a great job on third down. Even when it was like third and short, I mean, it wasn't, they're obviously not facing the greatest offense, but they've done this since like Seattle, Buffalo, are some good offenses. I think obviously Buffalo was their worst performance, but that's because they literally couldn't stop the run and they were put in horrible field position the whole night. But Jalen Phillips gets left unblocked. They're trying to throw, this quick out, which basically turns into a screen with the receivers blocking, and Phillips gets to go up and make a play. Unfortunate that Jalen got hurt, man. I mean, he's already obviously coming off the Achilles, and him not being out there definitely will affect the defense because he was still their best edge pass rusher. Here they're able to get some pressure on second down. They just collapsed the pocket across the board. Everyone's in pretty good position. Love how Brooks was squeezing in this game. I feel like Brooks did a better job in coverage, squeezing routes. Obviously, that one earlier he didn't squeeze, but here he gets to squeeze. Hopkins ends up being opened, but when you're able to get some quick pressure, he's reading this side of the field first. They're trying to run smash to that side. They take it away, and then he just has to throw it away. Everyone up front got their pressure looks, and then it's like 3rd and 6. They're able to collapse some pockets pretty quickly. They bring, they're definitely showing pressure. They end up bringing 5, dropping Brooks into coverage. Holland looks like he might follow him, but he doesn't. Peels off, finds number 2. They try to throw the drag route. Duck gets on Hopkins here. He's clearly playing as a flat defender, so he gets hands on, but gains depth, so he can't throw the whole shot to Hopkins while Poyer gets over the top. And he ends up just throwing this drag underneath, and Brooks is there to make a play, which ends up actually being an incompletion. So that was really good work. Then there was this play. This was probably the worst play the defense had of the night. This is where right before halftime, and they gave up that big pass to get a field goal. And to me, honestly, this one was on McDaniel, because if McDaniel just ran the ball out, like the Titans would have had no time to get the ball back, but they tried to score when I don't think that... I'm okay with like trying to play aggressive, but with a backup quarterback, I just don't think that was the move. And then they come out here in like a 3 buzz, obviously, so they have like cover 3, but they come out with 2 buzz defenders with how they end up playing it with deep. And Kohu's matching number 2, Jordan Brooks matching number 3, Holland pulls down. I'm not sure what Poyer's doing. Poyer just sits far too back, lets number 2 work behind him, doesn't squeeze on it, and it just gets a completion over the middle over Kohu, over Poyer, who kind of have been, I think, the 2 weak links of the secondary, but I feel like Poyer was just basically covering nothing in that situation. Like, that's kind of like right where that route was working into his zone, and then they were able, I feel like, also show some situational awareness. Like, they don't have any timeouts at this point. They have to hustle down the field to get a spike. They spiked it with 1 second left. If you're a corner here, don't bring him down right away. Actually hold him up. Literally actually even push him forward. It's fine if he actually gains extra yards here, because if you think situationally, like, it's going to come down to the last second, which it did. You want to hold him up for as long as possible. Don't let him hit the ground. Maybe lay on him a little bit. You don't want to get a delay of game. But, like, I mean, laying on him really doesn't do much because they're still so far away. But really just, like, carry him. Maybe allow him to get a few extra yards. They have to run extra time. That wastes an extra second off the clock. So a little more situational awareness out of Ko there would have been very helpful. But the Dolphins brought some pressure looks, which was fun. Third down. They haven't done this a ton. They've still on, like, usually bring 4. But here they bring pressure with Jordan Brooks showing blitz. Holland comes. Ogba drops into coverage. The center peels off to take Holland. It leaves Jordan Brooks on a free blitzer, and he gets the sack. They kind of take away everything pretty nicely. Everything's covered up. So just love all the different looks that they were able to show on these situations. This one was a huge defensive play, because this was the drive where the Titans scored the first touchdown of the game, and pretty much the only touchdown. The second one I'm not really counting against the defense. It was towards the end of the game. The game was over, and they started at the 10-yard line. This is where they score the touchdown, and this ended up being defensive pass interference. So it's third down. They actually do a pretty decent job. I mean, Walker kind of loses versus tight end, but that's expected. Kohu gets one-on-one with Hopkins, and he actually does really good coverage. I think Kohu is much better at man-to-man than zone, and he's in a great position here. He covers it up well. I think just right here, he needs to look and find the ball. If he does that, he doesn't get called for PI. Even, like, if he doesn't look, like, it's still a pretty weak call. Like, this play's not getting caught here no matter what. So it's just, like, a pointless pass interference to have. Also, it was the play where Phillips got hurt. I believe he was trying to loop around, and like you can see, he just puts no pressure on his knee. That's absolutely devastating. So that was a huge, huge loss in the game. And then that play led to this big explosive here to Pollard, where they run some gap scheme stuff. They actually constrict some run lanes here. I actually think Campbell did a good job squeezing down on 79. Brooks kind of like spins out of a block of a tight end, but they're in their like someone has to fill in here because they right here this defensive tackle, hard to tell who that is. That might be Benito Jones, but he gets double teamed, so someone has to fill in this gap. And I think with how they play it, like Chop takes on a blocker there, kind of gets squeezed down. Everyone has outside leverage, so I think Brooks and Walker are trying to replace into that gap, and they just both get slightly put out of position, and that leads to that big run for Pollard. I mean, but when you're on the field the whole time, it's in a tough spot. And then they go Wildcat. They leave Sealer unblocked. Sealer misses this tackle for a loss. I mean, tough position to be in to tackle a very shifty running back like this. And then it just, once he misses, it's absolutely easy walk-in touchdown. Don't want to harp on Sealer too much because he's been one of the only players that has actually been playing good for the Dolphins throughout games. But when your defense is constantly on the field, that's going to happen. And then you have Ramsey just making plays. This is late in the game. Game's like kind of over at this point, but he's able to slip under the block. Look at him slip under this block. They put a offensive lineman in the backfield as a fullback. He sets the edge. This is such an athletic play. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's why I've wanted to have Ramsey more and more near the line of scrimmage, because he can make plays like that, and that's super impressive. Also, a positive Quentin Bell play. They have Quentin Bell unblocked, and he shows off that athleticism to get downhill, make a tackle for loss. So, I mean, I wanted to throw that in there because I haven't been able to show one positive from him yet, and that was an impactful one. Here was a drive where they actually kind of went downfield and had a pretty decent one. Duck gets, matched up on their tight end. He plays good coverage. Holland reads the eyes. They're playing quads down in the red zone. Everyone's matched up pretty nicely here. Holland sees the throw, breaks on it, almost able to get his hands on too, and make a pass deflection. But just another third down example of them being very, very comfortable in those situations. They definitely look pretty good on third down. And I want to show this play. Obviously this touchdown I would not count against the defense. Also, but just look at this. Look at Bonner on this play. Bonner's in the position to make a play, and he's outside leverage going to get there. And then look, this offensive lineman sticks out his leg and trips him. That's why he fell. It's I remember seeing Bonner fall. I'm like, wow, he just kind of tripped over himself. No, he literally, the guy threw out his leg, tripped him late in the game on purpose, and then Pollard was able to score a touchdown. So I just wanted to show that to be that touchdown shouldn't even have happened, because Bonner is 100% there to make a play. He has the speed to get to the edge. He has the angle. And even if he doesn't technically make the tackle, he at least slows him down, and all these guys are there to make the tackle as well. So, but he gets tripped up. Just wanted to call out that pointless. I mean, obviously it was a pointless score at this point in the game. The game was over, but just wanted to point out that BS. So that touchdown should have never even happened, and it did start at the 10-yard line. So good play from the defense today. I'm gonna do a Patrick Paul breakdown later today, so expect that. And then throughout the week, you should see Storm Duck, Jalen Wright, all the youngins getting some action. I know more people want to see those guys than some of the veterans that they're used to. So if you guys are there, make sure to subscribe to the hobby.